Hello everyone, welcome to another part of Festive Tech Calendar. My name is Mikey Bronowski and I will talk about Python in Excel, the new feature from Microsoft to help you to analyze data with Python. Also, all the illustrations in this presentation were created with Bing Create. So let's crack on. What is Python in Excel? First, that's a feature in preview, so you have to remember about that. It's also built for analysts. You can analyze data as any other data scientist does using Anaconda and all the libraries related to that. And you can do this now in Excel. It also uses the Anaconda version from the cloud, the containerized version, which is in the Microsoft Cloud. So you don't need to have any setup, although you have to have some internet connection. Otherwise, you don't have access to the cloud. More about the security related to that later in this presentation. And also Python in Excel is built for teams where you can add comments and collaborate with your peer to get the best the best from the Excel and data analysis with Python. What libraries are available? As I mentioned, that it works on the Anaconda environment, so the initially loaded libraries are NumPy, Pandas, and so on. And you can see that very screen if you go to formulas and then initialization in this Python preview region, you will see that is the initial state of your Python environment when you start playing with it. More about the libraries and open source libraries on this link. It is a preview feature, so you have to go to the insiders channel, like be on the beta channel. I'm already there, but you can switch that going to File, Account, and here's the bit with Microsoft 365 Insider. You can change the channel. I could leave the Insider now, but I'm not going to do this. But if you want to join, that's the place to start. So now how to work with Python in Excel, how to insert our great formulas of Python to our spreadsheets. Again, on the formulas menu, you can go to Insert Python and simply insert a Python code. So Python in Excel, it will open a formula bar with the new look. It's the green background and the pi name for the pi function. And you can also see that the cell also has the same look. So that means we are ready to deliver Python code. And unlike for other Excel formulas, hitting the enter doesn't close the formula bar. It doesn't commit, let's say, the function. You have to use Control Enter. So I have an example here. Just want to display some date. And if I hit Enter as for the regular formula, I'll just go to the next line. So I need to add this, and now Control Enter to commit the formula. And you can see that here is a little button saying Show Card. So when you click that, you have some more details about the data that is displayed in the cell. And if you right-click, you have Python output or Excel value. Right now, it's Python output. And if I click the Excel value, it will switch it to the Excel value. It might look differently for bigger set of data or data frames instead of just a single cell. Few words about the pi function. It accepts two parameters. Python code, and return type. The Python code is a static text. It's basically the Python code that has to be that you want to run in Excel. And the return type is a static number, 0 or 1. 0 will give you the Excel value, 1 will give you the Python value. Except that you don't see this here. I did not provide any parameters. So how do you know if that's 0 or 1? How you can change that? The formula text can show you what is the actual formula. So if we go back to this example and we type formula text and it's just Excel formula and do this, we can see that our parameter here, the last one, is 0. If we change that to Python object, it will switch to 1. Some add-ins can read and write to that field. This formula text function can just read what's there, read only. Let's go to some samples. So we can see in this formulas section in Python preview, again, try Python samples. And you can open that on the right hand side. As you can see, few samples, just typical examples when you start learning with data science and learning about pandas and all the libraries. So let's add some sample. This is the sample data set, and we already have some function. So we can see that here is the Python code, and it's displayed as Python output, Python object, and this one is displayed as Excel value. And you can see that this is just a name of this data frame. So we are referencing the Excel function, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Our range, it's named range, actually a table in Excel, and we want to use the headers. And here is just the describe function from Python to describe what statistical measures we have here. And you can also add some more samples like plotting, generating plots. So again, import matplotlib pyplot and then do something more with that. So these are the examples that are included in Python, so you can have some idea how it works. Now let's talk about the Excel function itself. The Excel functions allows you to input data into the Python environment, and it can accept simple range of cells. It can accept the named range if we name that range, and it can accept the table names as well. The table names will be defined in formulas name manager, like this one. And one extra bit is also it can work with Power Query connections. So let's start with this function. I'm defining the data frame on just Excel range, and it will be R5S12, which is this range. And I want to keep headers, and finally I want to have a describe of that data frame. With the help of formula text, you can see that this is going to be Python object at the moment. So this is the describe, which shows a weekday and a month and some statistical measures. And that is based on the range. The same output, basically, because it's the same data, but in different form, is when I use Excel table. I refer to table 6, which is the name of the table, and I want all fields, including headers. We can see that headers can be on or off. So if we decide to present data without the headers, then the data might be slightly different. In this formula, in this Python code, I get the same table as here, but I just exclude the headers and do the same describe. What does it mean is that I get different measures, and also the top is different because before the header was a weekday and month, so the top value was Monday and January. Now we don't have headers in our data set, data frame, so our top is weekday and month. So it's worth remembering that difference. As mentioned before, we can also get the external data, not just those from Excel itself, from the spreadsheet. We can use the Power Query. So I have set up the connection, data connection. One of the examples was to get some data from Wikipedia. To get the data, you go to data, get data, and then there are multiple options. You can either get this from a file from a local machine or somewhere in the web, or some other services or other resources, other sources. I did this from web. This is the link to Wikipedia, just to link to a Wikipedia article. And then when it shows me what are the available tables, I can see that, oh, here's a table of the population across the world, split by country, region, and sub-region. And what I did was to load this too and only create connections. I don't want to download the data, I just want to create the connection. So I did this before. We can have we can see the connections here. I will delete this one, and we can see a preview of the data from the connection. It's called population, but originally it was called the same as you've seen the list edit as a table name. You can change that in when you get the data, but for the sake of this demo, let's keep this original. So I'm getting the data frame called data DT countries to load this data from the connection, and then just do some calculation, just aggregation, group by continental region, which is a continent, and get some mean values. And as the output, we can see it's the Excel output. We can see that there is some data based on the continent, and this is the population from year 2022, and this is the population from year 2023. So it's possible to get the data externally. Now, Python in Excel offers few shortcuts to play with Python more easily. And of course you have the py, which is the py function, which is the window to Python world in Excel. You can also do, let's see, we have the formula here. I have some data in this window, so I have a formula, Python formula here, and this might be useful sometimes when it gets busy. You have many operations, you will get this error message, busy or connect. So Control Alt Shift F9 will reset that Python runtime, and you can carry on with your work. It happens to me a few times when just basic displaying the data frame just didn't work. This one is also very useful if you don't want to switch with your mouse. So let's go here. Control Alt Shift M, which will allow you to switch between the different views. So we have the Python view and the Excel view, and you can see that this parameter here is changing. So that's useful. It's four keys, but might be useful to switch between them if you need to. You can also do Control Alt Shift P and go inside the formula bar where you can edit the Python code easily. Once you are in this code, you can either commit, Control Enter, or if you go back, Control Alt Shift P, you can do Control F2, which will switch between the formula bar at the top to the cell itself. So you can either edit in the formula or in the cell. Depends what you like. We also have a few other shortcuts like Control Shift F5. When the cell contains a card icon, additional data is available inside the card. So let's switch to let's switch here to the Python object, and let's see if we have something else. We have the extra card with our data frame. This is the basic one, but if you have more complex data, you will get this window. Also, if your code in Python is longer than just few lines, you can use Control Shift U to expand that code or the formula bar at the top. The F2 shortcut enables you to switch between enter and edit mode and enter mode. So what does it mean? Let's go here. We are in the, so now I can add cell or range, but only one. So you can see it added one cell. So whenever I click again, it doesn't do anything. And if I click the F2, I can add another cell, or F2, another cell, and so on and so on. And F9 is for recalculation. If you don't do automatic calculations, sometimes it's useful when you have lots of different calculations and you want to disable the calculations. So in formulas, under calculations, the calculations option, I have automatic, but if you have partial or manual, you can force the calculation of the formulas. The security I mentioned at the beginning, the Python code runs on isolated containers, on hypervisor isolated containers built on Azure Container Instance. It's secured. It has secured libraries from Anaconda. The Python code doesn't have access to your computer or account or devices or network, and it doesn't have access to other properties of the workbook, like formulas, like charts, macros, or VBA code. So it's purely for data analysis. It's not the replacement for VBA, or you can sometimes do things with Excel spreadsheets with PowerShell. The Python here in this implementation, it doesn't allow that. Python can access data through the Excel function as a part of Python formula, And Python returns the values as a py function, and the values will be returned in the same cell as the formula is placed. And the last bit, the containers from the Azure Container Instances will stay online as long as the workbook is open or until a set timeout. And data is not persisted in the Microsoft Cloud. And to wrap up the Python editor, that's the lab option. So we have something like Excel Labs, and the Excel Labs is a Microsoft Garage project, and it has few options here. We won't be talking about those two, advanced formula environment or labs generative AI function. We have the Python editor, which we can open now. And now when we have any Python code, we have more code here on Excel. So we have all the cells R27, which is this column, R27 is this code, or O27. And you can see we can switch between the formulas, and the Python editor will allow us to edit stuff here. So we can see more of the code. We can change the object here from Python object to Excel values, and so on. I invite you to explore that part of Excel Labs, and also if you want to play with other stuff from Excel Labs like Advanced Formula Environment, you can do so. Thank you for listening to this short intro to PowerShell 2. Thank you for listening to this short intro to Python in Excel, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the Festive Tech calendar creations. Thank you.